always, as a civilization, been a beneficiary of globalization. I've written books about India's maritime past and a huge amount of influence going back and forth. So understanding India through its long history is very much a story of globalization. And whenever we have attempted, as we did during the Nehruvian period, to close ourselves from the world, it hasn't been a happy experience. So my view is of yes, sure. I mean, if you don't think globalization has been a success, well, go and look at how the world was before 1990, how India was before 1991. Closing ourselves off to the rest of the world has never been a good thing. That does not mean, however, that we Indians do not have a strong sense of ourselves. So I would say that yes, we must embrace globalization, but at the same time, be proud of ourselves. That pride in, you can call it nationalism, nationalism, or whatever, does not necessarily have to be a rejection of everything else in the world. So I am sort of against this idea that one is somehow having a strongly nationalistic or patriotic view of Indianness is somehow dislinked from being anti-global. This is, as I said, my own view of Indianness is all about globalization. And in India's ancient past is great precisely because of its embracing of the world in various ways, in trade and refugees coming to India at various points in time, from the Parsis to the Jews, and so on and so forth. So I think that is important. Now, yes, there is a certain nativism that is rising, but you see, at the same time, the other extreme also has to be careful that we somehow negate people's sense of themselves with some sort of an internationalist nihilism. And I think that internationalist nihilism is just as, is pointless and ultimately self-defeating. If people are not proud of themselves, then they're not going to put in the effort to make the sacrifices that every society needs to function. So you need to balance these two things and not simply, take one extreme or the other. A successful globalization requires that each group feels that they are participating in it and that their sense of themselves is not threatened by this process. So that is important. Now, we need to be careful, therefore, of taking extreme views on this. Now, we happen to be going through a period where many countries have taken a somewhat protectionist view of the world. It can be a slippery slope sometimes, but on the other hand, taking a view of the world where we simply ignore all borders, and particularly one in the last few decades which has disproportionately benefited a certain globalized elite at the cost of people on the ground, that will ultimately cause a reaction. So I think a reasonably balanced approach is the need of the hour.